something to think about what that could mean for us in the future. The other thing I wanted to just say is that having worked on levies for over a decade and having various roles in them, no matter whether you pass or you fail, the biggest issue is trying to identify the key message that's going to resonate with the most folks, and identifying those voters and not wasting time on no votes. There's just the strategy is just not to try to change the no vote. And one thing that resonated with almost every single person who reached out to me was, we wall off our schools and they don't get to see what goes on in our schools. And with less than 20% of our school district having kids in school, we have to find a way of sharing what's going on in our schools, so they want to support that. And we have so many good things. And I think that's a great way to do that, is something we as a board can make happen. And I think those are conversations that are proactive that we can consider. And the last thing, I just want to share personally, I felt very restrained during the levy. It was really hard for me to find my niche. I did particular care for the committee I was on, and that's not my thing. Money isn't my thing. But one of the things that I really noticed when I made phone calls, our parents today are not the parents of 2006. They're not the parents of 1999. We have a very different set of parents, and so we have to figure out how to connect with a lot of those parents in a different way than we've ever had to before. And I think that's really key. I mean, a lot of language barriers when I made phone calls. A lot of people don't have phones that you can actually talk to a parent. So I was real surprised at the number of times I was unable to leave a message. So to kind of wrap things up, we asked Kim to send out an email trying to identify a date. Does this group want to consider having another date set aside, as Christine has suggested, to talk about levy next step and budget? Does this group want to do this, pursue that? I'm kind of need a nod.
Budget for levy?
Well, actually, the reason the budget kind of comes into play is because with the levy not passing, obviously that affects our budget planning for next year. And of course, numbers are still being finalized for next year's projections. But, and that's why it's actually added to tonight's conversation as well, to continue. What we want to avoid are any budget surprises come spring, and so having ongoing conversations about budget projections as they get finalized and ready for spring planning. We want to make sure we're communicating along the way with the board. So, yeah, I mean, the board's going to have a conversation about, next steps regarding levy. If you feel like we need to go for another one or not, or if so, when, if not, how much, and all of that. But it really fits into a budget conversation. I mean, I don't think that it's a willy-nilly decision that you make in isolation of actually looking at your budget projections. So.
I think the first meeting, January 5th work session is my projection work session. So we're looking at, we're doing our budget revisions for 15 and 16 right now. So and we'll need some time to put those together as we update our budgets. As you'll see tonight, we're going to take a look at 14, 15. The audit just happened. Our audit presentation for 14, 15 will happen at the December board meeting. So I was more looking, if you have a levy conversation in December, and then maybe look at some budget assumptions, some enrollment projections. By that time, we should have a handle on our enrollment projections. And those types of discussions, so that when we actually meet on January 5th at our work session, we'll look at projections based upon the assumptions and the enrollment projections, etc.
So I think I saw a lot of heads nodding. Kim, did you get any kind of feedback on potential dates?
Just yours. The rest of the board members will enter in their calendars.
So are we able to just kind of quick take a look and target a date? But formally, we won't do anything until our November meeting. But the goal was to try to get it captured so we can actually take action on it later this month to set it for next month.